Hi, I'm Savia Viegas. I live in a village deep down south. It's in Shashti and the village is called Carmona. Looking at the trees here, I feel I've always been here. And yet, I have been here and not been here. And it is this coming back that has opened the floodgates of memory and made me love this village even more. There's the special thing about Goa. Goa is turning 50 this year. My, 50 is half a century. 50 years is a long time. But that's not really long. I'm more than 50 years old. I have grey hair, cascading down like the Aravale waterfall in the monsoon. In many senses, with the state turning 50 and me being more than 50 years old, I guess it affords me the privilege to talk about Goa, to talk about my life here, to talk about my vision for Goa, and of course the work. I remember I was a little toddler, maybe a 2-year-old, and I still can recall the sense of hurry and flurry in my home. I have captured all that in my first book, Tales from the Attic. It talks about my life here. This book, Tales from the Attic, recaptures some of my memories of childhood when Goa was liberated. I'd like to read you a little bit of that memory. A little before the first illness struck me, Pai had just driven back his Carrera from Vasco, where the Portuguese soldiers had parked it stacked with ammunition. For several days the house was full of tension, with Pai groaning in his armchair in the Pone Sala, hitting his head against the wall, complaining that he would never see his Carrera again. They'll blow it up as they go. All my sweat gone up in smoke, he kept on repeating to himself. Shemai sat with the radio to her ear, listening to snatches of news, which she promptly conveyed to Pai and Mai and even the neighbors. Khoisaw spent a great deal of time with the missal leafing through its pages, waiting for the oracle to fulfill its prophecy. Tete and Mai seemed to be the only family members who remained unconcerned. Then the radio crackled with the news that the Satyagrahis had won. Goa was freed from Portugal and Salazar. Shemai, having laid me on the mat in the entrada, ran out shouting at the top of her voice that Goa was free. She called out to Angelina's mother, to Aramita and the others. She wasn't particularly excited about the news itself. She was thrilled to be its broadcaster. Are you listening? She yelled, her oily ringlets of grey hair dangling over her widow's dress. It seems that the Indians have come. The neighbors, still half awake, came to the boundary wall and looked confused. They were mixed sentiments, but the mood was one of anticipation. Some people were jubilant that Nehru had successfully used force after diplomacy had failed. Others said, what can this pagdiwalas do? It took Salazar to rule, like it took a Marquis of Pombal to make Goa. Pai then got up and left for Vasco, hoping now to retrieve his vehicle. Well, that's a little snatch from my book, Tales from the Attic. This was my first book I wrote on coming to Goa. Actually, I couldn't find a publisher. It was such a sad story. I sent it across to several publishers. Many of them kept me hanging, and I was very, very hopeful that it would hit the stands before Goa's liberation, which it did. But that's another story. I'll tell it to you later. But as I was telling you, some publishers kept me dangling, and I was very, very hopeful. So I kept writing to them Diwali letters, Ganpati letters, Baubi's letters, Christmas letters, New Year letters, all letters and letters. And basically the letters only said one thing, hello, happy Baubi's. Any news about my script? The letters didn't work, and I was getting tired and wondering, what am I going to do with all that I've written? Am I ever going to see it published? Then I had an idea in 2007. I just went ahead and published it. I was publisher, I was proofreader, I was writer, and then when the 1,000-odd books came to my home, I said, oh my God, what am I going to do with all this truckload of books? Then I had to have another idea, which I did. So I changed my outfit. So I had another idea. After the book release was over, I got myself a pair of cheap sunglasses and a beach outfit. My family members said, "You're not going to wear that, are you? And to the beach?" I said, "Of course I am, because I mean to do what I mean to do." They knew there was no stopping that, because they had lived with me for 50-odd years. I had to polish up my act, because on the beach I had to compete with the Lamani woman, the massage woman, the woman who was selling a lot of wares on the beach. And so I did a little act which I was quite proud of. Let me show that to you. It's an old woman's act, but it was an act which privileged me from being a non-writer to a writer. I took an armload of my books with me and an haversack at the back and went round on the beaches of Carmona, Betalbati, Kansaulim, Suraulim, Benaulim, Kolva, Mobor, saying, "Hello, would you like to buy a book? It's a book that's written on the land that you visit. It's a book about Goa, but it doesn't contain the story that you will see on the beach. Goa is a state which is more than 500 years old. Goa is 500 years old. The village that I come from is 500 years old. Yet the beach culture is only a few years old. So this alternate culture story is what is written in this book. Would you like to buy it? I give good price. And you will enjoy it. You will ask for more. You will carry a piece of the real Goa with you." Now I met Russians, I met Irish, I met the British visitors, I met the German visitors. It was quite an eye-opening experience, let me tell you. I would not exchange that experience for any kind of publishing high of another kind. In fact, when I was on Moborg, at the fag end of the season of 2007, a group of babushkas told me, no English speaking. Rusi, go. It was quite an experience being driven away from selling in your own land by Russians who didn't know the language. It was such fun, really, because it left me memories to chuckle over. Of course, this way, and over a period of a year and a half, on trains, on buses, at conferences, seminars, and of course on my playing field, the beach, I sold 1,000 copies. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't difficult. It was a great challenge and I took it. And I think it should be a lesson for everyone who wants to self-publish the book. You can be your own writer, and you can be your own publisher, and you can be your own seller too. It's an experience you don't want to repeat. So for the sequel of this book, I wrote to Penguin, and they are publishing my second book. We don't yet have the title, but it's something to do with land. It's something to do with the sale of land. And it's something to do with family values. And it's something to do with Goan identity. So look forward to it. It's going to be a great read.